Within a few weeks, my sister was out of a job. The luxury SUV disappeared from her driveway before sunrise, and the family chat filled with half apologies that said everything and meant nothing. I am Madison Blake, 32, a vice president of marketing at a New York City fintech. I live in Tribeca, where the night hums even when the windows are closed. I thought I understood betrayal. I grew up with the quieter kind, the kind that hides in seating charts and subtle jokes. Then it showed up under string lights on a private Catskills estate, wearing my name on masking tape stuck to a folding chair by the swinging kitchen door. It looked like a mistake. It was a message. What they did not know was that I kept records, not rants, records. 28 months of transfers, $12,500 a month, screenshots with timestamps, a florist invoice that landed in my business inbox even though I never authorized it. A phone clip from behind the scenes where someone said, "She will be fine there." I was not. If you have ever been placed just out of sight so someone else could shine, if you have ever smiled through the sting, tell me where you are watching from. I see you. You are not crazy. You are just awake. Here's the setup. I am the responsible one, the steady one, the one who paid her own way through school while my older sister, Jada Sterling, 34, the golden one, had her tuition and upgrades covered. My mother is a retired school teacher. My father runs a hardware store. Westchester was home. I learned early to carry more than I complained about. Two quick hints that will matter later. Hint 1, a bridesmaid who was not the maid of honor handled vendor payments, and somehow my business details ended up on file. Hint 2, there is a photo of my place card handwritten by my sister taped to that chair beside a trash can. Keep those in your pocket. I am not here to scream. I am here to lay out a story the way a good attorney likes to hear it. Calm, precise, in order. And when we get to the consequences, you will understand why preparation beats anger every single time. Looking back now, I can trace the pattern like a subway map I rode too many times to notice. Westchester was home. A split-level house, a fridge covered in Jada's medals and my to-do lists. My mother taught school and graded papers at the kitchen table. My father ran a hardware store and came home smelling like cedar and machine oil. Jada Sterling, my older sister by 2 years, was the golden headline. I was the fine print that kept the page together. I paid my way through college. Scholarships, campus jobs, internships that started at dawn. Jada's tuition was handled by our parents. New laptop for her junior year, covered. Study abroad and a family send-off. When my laptop died, I sold a bike to bridge the gap and learned how far grit can stretch a month. Here is where the sacrifice hardened into routine. As my career took off, I became the family's quiet safety net. First, it was a single transfer when the roof leaked. Then it was a plane ticket so our parents could visit an aunt after surgery. Then it became a rhythm I barely named. $12,500 every month for 28 months. Zelle and Venmo confirmations stacking up like a second mortgage I never signed. I told myself I could shoulder it. I am a vice president now. My compensation can carry 40% toward family without sinking me. That is what I told myself. Love wears a convincing mask when it calls itself duty. Breadcrumb. I kept a spreadsheet. Dates, mounts, notes, like phone plan for everyone moved to my account. Jada's pitch week flights, parents' heat oil top-up planner requests, small tasting deposit to keep the planning calendar from slipping. That last one matters later. I used my LLC card once for a small, time-sensitive vendor deposit because a deadline would have cost them a fee. I sent a follow-up email asking the planner to remove the card from file once they processed the switch. Remember that. Looking back now, I can see how entitlement hid inside niceness. Jada had a way of turning my boundaries into bad manners. When I said I could not host a shower because of a product launch, she said, "You of all people should understand big moments." When I asked for my weekends back after covering our parents' errands for a month straight, my mother said, "Be the bigger person," like bigger was the prize and not the burden. More breadcrumbs. Birthdays that were rescheduled if they were mine. Dinners where I carried trays and stories and only the trays were acknowledged. The bigger bedroom went to Jada because she entertained. The newer phone too because she needed better cameras for her brand. I smiled and told myself I was above the scoreboard. I also covered the family phone plan to make things simpler. Simpler is code for invisible work someone else refuses to notice. There were bright spots. Callie, my friend from work, saw me. She is the anchor in this story. She would text, "I know you will say yes, but do you want to?" And the question alone felt like oxygen. Riley, our cousin, lived at the margins of the Sterling spotlight the way I did. He did not make a fuss. He just told the truth in small sentences the way honest people do. Jada's engagement became our family's new calendar. The planner was Manhattan famous. The venue a private Catskills estate that looked like a movie set. The budget floated near $500,000, a number we pretended not to say out loud while still admiring how it sparkled. Group chats bloomed with centerpiece photos and tasting menus. My mother's weekly calls turned into status meetings with one agenda: Jada's Day. If I tried to share a campaign win, she would say, "That is wonderful, but wait until you see the chargers we picked." As if chargers could charge the emptiness of being unheard. Another breadcrumb. Vendor communications started to widen beyond Jada. A bridesmaid named Tori took on coordination support when timelines got messy. Not Jenna, the maid of honor. Tori. She was the one answering planner emails when Jada was busy. The one who said we when we meant Jada, the one who asked me, "Could you float a quick tasting deposit to keep our date, the refundable kind we will swap cards after?" I did it once through my LLC because I am the kind of person who hates watching trains derail when a simple fix exists. I also sent a clear follow-up asking the planner to remove my card after the switch. They replied, "Received. Card removed." I archived that email. Looking back now, I see how that single reasonable favor became the door through which people walked with dirty shoes. Not because I am naive, because I underestimated how far some people will go when they believe your resources are communal and your silence is guaranteed. The car was my mistake dressed up as generosity. 6 months before the wedding, I arranged a lease on a luxury SUV through my LLC. Safety was my talking point. Jada had been driving an unreliable car, and I could not stand the thought of her stranded at night. The lease and title sat with my business. Jada was an authorized driver, not an owner. The boundary mattered to me. On paper, I was protected. In practice, I taught her that my protection included her comfort. Breadcrumbs keep multiplying when you start noticing them. There was the night my mother asked me to arrive early to assemble welcome bags while Jada rehearsed her vows. There was the morning I paid the caterer's overtime fee because someone forgot to confirm delivery, and it felt easier to fix a mistake than to watch the dominoes fall. There was the way my father praised Jada's taste and never once asked where the money for the taste came from. Looking back now, the most dangerous part was not the money. It was the story I told about myself. I am the responsible one. I can handle it. I would rather carry weight than make a scene. Those sentences sound noble until they become a cage. Still, I wanted to believe a wedding could be a reset. I bought a Breville espresso setup with a grinder and small batch beans, $1,600. It was a peace offering wrapped as a habit. Mornings matter to me. I imagined Jada sipping espresso beside sunlight and just maybe thinking of me with something like respect. If you have ever tried to buy your way into being seen, I know how that sentence tastes. Here is where the backstory bends toward the moment. The rehearsal dinner came with candlelight and place cards. The private estate glowed like a promise, and a sentence floated past me that did not land until later. "She will be fine there." Not from Jenna. From a planner whisper answered by a bridesmaid trying to solve a seating puzzle that somehow made me the extra piece. Tori smiled tight, the smile people borrow when they are sure they are helping you swallow something that is not meant for you. Looking back now, I see what I could not see then. There are families that treat your generosity like a faucet they can turn on and off. There are sisters who confuse access with love. There are patterns that only break when you stop holding them together. I wish I could tell you I saw it and pulled the plug right there. I did not. I walked into the wedding weekend telling myself the thing we all tell ourselves before a storm. It will be different this time. It had to be. I'd put too much of myself on the line for it not to be. That is the lie that keeps people like me in place. And it is the last lie I told myself before the chair. The rehearsal dinner glowed. Candles, laughter, place cards that looked like a calligraphy class had found religion. I said hello at the head table. Jada gave me the smile you give a courier. "Oh, you are here." Then she turned back to a bridesmaid story, the circle closing like a door. Breadcrumb 1. On my way to the restroom, I passed the planner and a bridesmaid, Tori, the one who had been handling vendor emails when Jada was busy. Their voices lowered when they saw me, then rose again after I passed. "She will be fine there," the planner said. Tori answered, "It is only for dinner. She can mingle later." The words did not register. Not yet. But they landed somewhere soft and stayed. The next day, the Catskills estate looked like a magazine spread that had learned to breathe. I wore navy. I carried the espresso gift like a peace flag. The ceremony was beautiful. Vows under oak branches, a breeze that knew when to show up. The part of me that loves precision admired how tight the timing was. The part of me that knows disrespect uses timing as cover felt uneasy and did not know why. Then the seating chart. Names in looping script on a gold easel. I scanned the family tables, cousins, aunts. The head table, of course, not me. I dropped my eyes to the bottom where a handful of names were added in a different hand. There I was, Madison Blake, table 22. An usher led me through a side door along a narrow corridor. The swing of the kitchen door brushed my arm. Servers moved like choreography. There it was, a folding chair. My name written by Jada taped to the back, a trash can to the left, the kitchen door to the right, noise and steam and the smell of onions. I set the espresso bag gently near the dessert table, as if the right gesture could rewrite the script. Jenna, the maid of honor, passed by, did a double take, and said, "You are fine here, right?" Fine. A word that can be a pat on the head or a small blade. I felt both. I stepped outside into string lights and cool air. No scene, no speech, just gravel under my heels and the sound of my own heart admitting a truth it had avoided. I was halfway to the parking lot when I heard my name. Madison. Jada hurried toward me, bouquet tilting, heels catching. "Where are you going? You cannot just leave." I turned and waited for an honest sentence. "It is my wedding day," she said, as if that erased the chair. "You put me by the kitchen," I said. "You made room for everyone you wanted to look at. I am your sister, and you put me out of sight." "We ran out of space," she said. "There are 22 tables," I said, 200 guests. "Space is not the problem. Respect is." My mother joined us, breathless, already shaping the narrative. "You are making a scene. The seating was tight. You owe your sister an apology." For a heartbeat, I saw myself at 12 taking blame so the living room would go quiet. Then the picture changed. "You let your daughter sit by a kitchen door while strangers sat with you," I said. "And you think I am the problem." I got in my car. I drove away. No music. Just the hum of the road and the way silence can feel like oxygen when you have been underwater for too long. At home, my phone looked like a fire alarm panel. Missed calls stacked. 15 from Jada, 10 from my mother, a few from my father, a text from Riley, our cousin who notices things and names them. "Saw your chair. Not okay. Are you safe?" It was the first sentence of the night that cared about me more than optics. I powered the phone down. I slept. Morning came with sun on my floor and the kind of peace you do not trust at first. I skipped the post-wedding brunch. I made coffee. I walked through the art district and let color remind me that attention can be gentle. An automated email pinged. "Thank you for attending." A photo of Jada and Mark under fairy lights. I marked it as spam without rancor. I was not their audience anymore. Breadcrumb 2. An invoice hit my LLC inbox that afternoon. Florist, final balance, $85,000. Attached was an authorization form with my business details typed in and a signature that was not mine. The billing address was my office. The contact number was mine. The authorization date was 2 weeks earlier. My stomach dropped, then steadied. I searched my archive and found the planner thread from months back when I had floated a small, time-sensitive tasting deposit through my LLC to keep them from losing a date. My follow-up had been immediate. "Please remove my card from file now that you have swapped to the couple's payment method." The reply sat in black and white. Received. Card removed. Breadcrumb 3. A travel agency confirmation landed next. Honeymoon balance. $19,700 charged to the same business card. No call, no request. Just the confidence of people who believe your resources are communal and your silence is guaranteed. I opened my spreadsheet. 28 months of transfers. $12,500 out the door each month, notes beside each line. Parents' roof, phone plan, heat oil. Flights for Jada's pitch week, a lease payment on the luxury SUV through my LLC, because I did not want my sister stranded in a dying car at midnight. The total sat there like a weight you finally acknowledge, $350,000 in support before a single wedding invoice touched my accounts. It is not the money alone. It is what the money tells you. It tells you who they think you are. It tells you what they expect you to swallow. It tells you where they will seat you without shame. I forwarded the florist invoice to the planner with the archived removal email and asked for an explanation copy. Jada copy, Tori. I kept my tone polite and exact. "Hi, this authorization is not mine. Attached is the removal confirmation from your team dated 6 months ago. Please advise on how my LLC details reappeared on file and reverse the charge immediately." I hit send and sat very still. My hands were steady. My breath was not. Breadcrumb 4. The family group chat lit up. Before anyone responded to my email, Jada texted in the chat. "Madison is overreacting. Weddings are chaotic." She knew we were overwhelmed. The word "new" hit me like a bellipima that ball knew and decided to take. overwhelmed and decided to spend. I did not respond. Riley texted me privately. I heard them talking last night behind the tent. They said you would be fine in service and that you would not make it about you. I have a short clip. Want it? Not a doorbell camera. A 30-second phone video he had taken while waiting the kind people make when they are killing time and then realized they captured the truth by accident. I told him to hold it for now. I had enough. I did not need to win the internet today. I needed to see the pattern clearly enough to stop it. Breadcrumb 5. An email from Tori appeared. Subject line: quick fix. Body: we used your card once for a tasting deposit months ago and the system must have held it. We can work it out after the honeymoon. The casual tone almost made me laugh. The system. As if software commits fraud without human hands guiding it. As if my business identity is a communal key. Suspicion had become certainty. Not because of one chair or one invoice, but because of the line that connected all of it. The line said, "You are our cushion. You will absorb the blows. You will be fine there. I will get to what happened next." The lawyer. The credit freeze. The repossession at 3:12 in the morning. The brunch that became a screen share. But before any of that, I sat at my kitchen table with proof in a neat stack and let the anger cool into clarity. That was the last breadcrumb I needed. Not a bill, not a text, a decision. I would move differently now, calm, documented, in order. Revelation did not kick the door in. It sat down at my kitchen table and asked me to breathe. The surface betrayal was simple enough to name. A folding chair, my name handwritten on masking tape, the swinging kitchen door brushing my arm while strangers toasted in the glow. A planner's whisper. "She will be fine there," a maid of honor's quick glance. "You are fine here, right?" The choice was deliberate. Hide the responsible sister in the service corridor so the photos stay perfect. That was layer 1. Layer 2 ran under the floorboards. Money moving without consent. A florist invoice for $85,000 arriving in my business inbox with an authorization I never signed. A honeymoon charge of $19,700 hitting the same LLC card I had insisted to be removed from file months earlier. A bridesmaid named Tori, not Jenna, answering vendor emails and somehow speaking as we. That archived thread where I had floated a tiny tasting deposit to save their date, then wrote, "Please remove my card now that you have swapped to the couple's payment method." The planner's reply. Received. Card removed. And yet, here we were. The timing, the language, the casual assumption in Tori's note later the system must have kept. It told me exactly what had happened, even if no one had the courage to say it on record. My business identity had been treated like a communal key because I had taught them my door was always unlocked. Layer 3 stretched back across years. 28 months of $12,500 transfers labeled as help, as love, as just until we get through the season. A luxury SUV leased through my LLC with Jada as an authorized driver because I could not stand the thought of her stranded at night and because generosity has a way of dressing up as safety when you are tired. A family phone plan absorbed into my accounts because simpler is what people say when they mean invisible. And a childhood rhythm where my wins were postponed and her wants were urgent. Looking back now, I could see how long the story had been written for me and how reliably I had read my lines. I let my senses anchor me so I would not drift back into denial. The espresso machine purred. The mug warmed my hands. Outside Greenwich Street sighed with buses and morning deliveries. The sky over Tribeca was a stubborn, indifferent blue. I remembered the crunch of gravel under my heels when I walked away from the reception. I remembered how the kitchen smelled like onions and hot plates. I remembered my mother's sentence, "You are making a scene," and realized I had been cleaning up everyone else's scenes since grade school. This is important. I stopped arguing with my own evidence. I put the folder in order. Bank statements, screenshots with timestamps, the planner email that confirmed my card had been removed, the florist invoice that insisted it had not, the travel charge, the text from Riley offering the 30-second phone clip he had captured behind the tent while waiting a throwaway video that accidentally caught a truth, the phrase, "She will be fine in service," and a laugh that sounded like relief. I did not need to post anything. Not yet. I needed to see the pattern end to end without flinching. When you are the responsible one, your anger often shows up late and tries to run the whole meeting. I would not let it. I let anger take notes while clarity ran the agenda. I traced the lines. If they could seat me by a kitchen door without shame, they could put my business card back on file without asking. If they could put my name on tape, they could put my signature on a form. If they could call my silence love, they could call my no a betrayal. Every breadcrumb I had been dropping for months snapped into a map I could finally read. There was a moment when my body remembered how to breathe without permission. The apartment went quiet in that New York way where quiet includes distant sirens and the clink of a neighbor's spoon. I looked at the chair photo on my phone one more time. I looked at the florist total and the honeymoon confirmation. I looked at the spreadsheet total of $350,000 in family support. Then I looked at my own face in the black screen and said out loud, enough. I am telling you this because the turn does not come from a clever line or a dramatic door slam. It comes from a simple choice repeated with discipline. I would stop financing my own disappearance. I would stop smoothing what other people crumpled. I would be precise. I would be lawful. I would be calm. In a minute, I will walk you into the attorney's office. I will show you how preparation beats rage, how a credit freeze feels like armor, how a repossession at 3:12 in the morning can be a quiet prayer answered. But right here at a kitchen table with papers and a cooling espresso is where the real awakening lived. The sky was still blue. The city still loud. My heartbeat finally matched the metronome of my own life. And the plan began. I did not post first. I prepared first. Anger wants to run the meeting. Preparation writes the minutes. Step 1. Evidence. I duplicated everything twice. Cloud and hard drive, bank statements highlighting 28 months of transfers, $12,500 each month. Screenshots with timestamps from the family group chat, the florist's $85,000 invoice, and the unsigned authorization with my business details. The archived planner thread from months earlier where I had floated a tiny tasting deposit through my LLC to save their date, then wrote, please remove my card now that you have swapped to the couple's payment method, and received in black and white the reply card removed. The travel agency confirmation for $19,700. Riley's 30-second phone clip from behind the tent where a voice said she will be fine in service and another voice laughed. I logged every call after the wedding with date, time, and summary. Calm ink on clean paper. Step 2. Counsel. I met a Manhattan attorney who lives and breathes fraud, identity misuse, and unjust enrichment. Bright conference room. The city sketched in glass behind her. I laid out the folder. She nodded the way people nod when the picture is already complete. Then she gave me a sequence. Freeze your credit with all 3 bureaus. Remove your sister as an authorized user anywhere she still appears. Dispute the florist and honeymoon charges, immediately attaching the email that proves your card should have been removed. Notify the florist and the planner in writing that any use of your business identity is unauthorized. Send a formal notice to your family that all financial support ends now. Do not argue. Do not explain. If harassment continues, we escalate to a cease and desist, and if needed, a restraining order. Keep your tone neutral. Let the document speak. This is important. Order matters. First safety, then exposure. Step 3. Armor. That afternoon, I locked my credit across the board. I called Amex and removed Jada as an authorized user on my business account. I initiated disputes for both charges and attached the planner's card, removed email. I requested the merchant's signed authorization and pointed out that the signature was not mine. I notified the florist that any continued billing attempts would constitute fraud and that my attorney was now copied. I emailed the travel agency with the same clarity. I terminated the family phone plan and executed a transfer of responsibility so my parents could pick up their own line. I canceled every recurring transfer. I wrote one email to my parents and to Jada. Effective immediately, I am ending all financial support and access to any account or service in my name or in my LLC's name. Do not attempt to use my business identity. Future contact regarding money must go through counsel. No debate, no apology, precision only. Step 4. The car. 6 months earlier, I had arranged a lease for a luxury SUV through my LLC with Jada as an authorized driver for safety not status. The vehicle was owned and titled to the business. My attorney drafted a formal revocation of authorized driver status. I sent it to the leasing company along with proof of boundary violations and requested their standard recovery. At 3:12 in the morning, 2 days later, a truck pulled into Jada's driveway. The SUV rose into the dark and was gone before the birds began. No cameras, no cheering. I slept through it. When I woke up, I made coffee and felt my shoulders drop an inch. Step 5. Communication discipline. Callie, my anchor, set a rule I did not know I needed. We do not answer at night. Sleep is strategy. She triaged my phone, filtered out noise, and kept my tone aligned with my values. She also reminded me to eat. Revenge is not a meal, she said. Dinner is. Step 6. Controlled exposure. Only after the disputes were filed, the credit was frozen, the authorizations revoked, and the transfers canceled. I went public, not to scorch, to state. On Instagram, I posted a 4-image carousel. Photo 1, the folding chair with my name taped to it beside the swinging kitchen door timestamp visible. Photo 2, a cropped florist invoice with identifying numbers redacted, balance circled, and the caption, unauthorized. Photo 3, the group chat line, she will be fine there, with names and photos blurred, but the time and date intact. Photo 4, my closed laptop and a cup of espresso captioned, boundaries are love with edges. On Medium, I published a calm case study. 28 months, $12,500 a month, $350,000 in support. 1 business card used without consent, 1 wedding that chose optics over dignity. No employer names, no addresses, just facts, sequence, and lesson. On LinkedIn, I posted brand risk and the wedding crisis. In marketing, you cannot separate how you treat people from how you treat stakeholders. If your instinct is to seat discomfort by the kitchen door, you will do the same to truth in a boardroom. The post was measured. It traveled anyway. Industry people share cautionary tales like vitamins. Step 7, the room with witnesses, the gift opening brunch. 30 relatives in person, a dozen more on Zoom. I did not bring a speech. I brought a screen. When someone asked why I left during toast, I said, I will show you. Slide 1, the chair photo. Slide 2, the planner email proving my card was removed months ago. Slide 3, the florist invoice addressed to my LLC. Slide 4, the group chat line about seating me in service. Slide 5, my email ending all support. I kept my voice even. I did not look at my mother. I did not look at Jada. I looked at the screen and let the pixels do what my words have never been allowed to do. Hold the room. Silence widened. Someone coughed. My father studied the carpet like it owed him answers. My mother opened her mouth and closed it. For once, there was no quick story to paste over the truth. That was enough. I left my espresso gift on the table by the door. It felt lighter than the day before. I will get to the fallout. The blog, the job, the no contact. But remember this, the power shift did not come from volume. It came from sequence. Safety, then sunlight. Consequences are not cruelty when they follow choices like a shadow. Jada tried the well-worn cycle. Deny, I did not know. Deflect, weddings are chaotic. Bargain, can we talk privately and undo the post? She posted a public letter titled, To My Sister. She wrote, I thought you would be stronger than to walk out. Strength turned on the person who finally said, no is a familiar trick. Here is what she did not expect. The revealer had a spine. Jenna, the maid of honor who had looked pained at the chair but stayed silent in the moment, texted me first. I am sorry. I froze. I thought the planner would fix it. Seeing your photo shook me. I am writing about seating ethics because I was complicit by staying quiet. She published a piece on her wedding blog, How to Ruin Your Wedding with Seating. No names, clear principles. A paragraph on the cost of outsourcing conscience to etiquette. It took off. TikTok etiquette creators stitched it. Reddit threaded it. The meme landed as if it had been waiting in the culture. Table 22 by the kitchen. Circles drawn around lone chairs and blurry reception photos everywhere. My Medium case study traveled through friend networks and then into the wider internet because people recognized themselves in the pattern. On LinkedIn, the brand risk post drew more attention than any campaign recap I have ever written. A live session we scheduled, Boundaries at Scale, brought in 58,000 viewers. We did not talk about revenge, we talked about consent clarity and how silence subsidizes abuse. Then the professional domino. Jada worked in public relations. Within a few weeks after an internal review by HR and ethics, she was let go. Not because I demanded it, because misuse of another person's business identity paired with a public narrative about ethical blind spots is a liability in a reputation business. I did not name her employer. I did not gloat. I went for a walk and let the city burn off the adrenaline. The practical consequences stacked as they do when the transfusion stops. The repossession hit her credit. Late fees surfaced when bills now in their own names came due. The family phone plan no longer hid inside my account. Vendors who had been used to Ask Madison learned a new sentence: that account is closed. Tori, the bridesmaid, who had coordinated payments and written the system, must have kept your card lost the easy charm she had at parties. Planner policies changed. Authorization forms required ID and a phone verification. I did not need an apology from the industry. Policy shifts are apologies with teeth. My parents tried the old route to restoration. They called to negotiate the story. Could we meet privately to restore the family name? Could I remove the post to end the gossip? I kept my voice level. The family name is what we do, not what we say about it. My attorney sent a cease and desist regarding any misrepresentation of my actions and any further financial requests. We established no contact. If harassment resumed, we would pursue a restraining order. It did not resume. Silence when boundaried can be merciful. Riley checked in without fanfare. Heart emoji. A photo of his kids Ivy and Leo painting cardboard crowns at the kitchen table. He never asked for credit. Validators rarely do. He just told the truth when it mattered, and then went back to being a good father. This is important. Justice did not look like a victory lap. It looked like breathing without asking permission. It looked like a calendar that did not orbit someone else's emergencies. It looked like a door that stayed locked to people who had proved they would not wipe their feet. Time did its work the way time always does. 12 months, then 6 more. My restricted stock units vested. I put a down payment on a brownstone in Brooklyn. Not a flex, a marker. A home where no one will ever tape my name to a folding chair. The front stoop catches late sun. Neighbors wave with their whole faces. I built the thing I wanted when I was 22 and quietly wiring money to keep the family machine humming. The Empty Seat Fund. Small grants for students paying their own way with one requirement beyond grades. Write a short paragraph about a boundary you will hold this year. We fund courage as much as tuition. Callie and I host a monthly LinkedIn Live called Boundaries and Brand. We use my story only as a lens, not as content. We talk about systems, we talk about how to document without drama. We talk about the way dignity sounds in a meeting when you do not raise your voice. I do not follow Jada's accounts. I do not check on her. Indifference is not cruelty. It is the refusal to keep paying attention to what harms you. I hope she learned something I could not teach her by absorbing the cost. That is no longer my school. Ivy and Leo Riley's kids show up in family texts with paint on their cheeks and playground knees. I never repost their faces. I do not use them as symbols. The innocent deserve privacy. When I see their joy, I whisper a private promise to be the adult who shows them that love and boundaries can share a house. If you are listening and you have been seated by a kitchen door your whole life, hear me. You do not need a viral moment to leave the room. You do not need an audience to make a boundary real. You need one calm decision, followed by another, and then another, until the pattern breaks. Have you ever had to choose yourself over the script your family wrote for you? Have you ever stood up, stepped into the night air, and realized the only person you needed permission from was you? Tell me where you are watching from. Someone who looks like you is reading the comments and needs your sentence as a map. If this helped, stay. I tell stories about work boundaries and the messy art of loving people without abandoning yourself. Subscribe if you want more. And if anyone ever tapes your name to a folding chair by a kitchen door, remember this. You can stand up, you can walk out, you can build a table where you belong, and you can fund seats for people who have been standing their whole lives.